Hey, what's up guys? Brad with Squared Away every day, and today we're going to be talking about how good is the Tesla Model Y in the snow. Now currently it's about 0 degrees, it's actively snowing, so we'll see how the audio is and the video is in this particular video and just see if we can get this done. But 0 degrees, it's snowing right this second, and we are in beautiful Colorado. Now I've lived in Colorado my entire life, so I have a very good amount of experience on driving a vehicle in the snow and different types of vehicles. So stay tuned in this video, and we're going to talk about some different stuff you can do to make sure that your Tesla Model Y is driving optimal for inclement weather. And if you haven't had a chance yet, please go ahead and give me a like, give me a sub, and let's hop into it. Okay, so having lived in Colorado for my entire life and having a very good amount of experience driving in the snow, if you've also lived in a snowy state for a significant period of time, you're gonna know, just like I do, that there's a lot more to just like the traction of the vehicle. So we're gonna be talking about a few different categories here and how the Model Y stacks up. And what we're gonna be talking about is the traction control. We're going to talk about the balance of the vehicle. We're going to talk about the clearance, and specifically regarding electric vehicles, we're going to be talking about the range. We're also going to talk about visibility, and that's pretty much in the video. So let's start off with the traction. Now, traction is interesting in the sense that you can really, what traction comes down to is the tire. And so we either want to be running an all-season tire in a snowy state with a lot of weather, or a winter tire in the winter time. And so me personally, I like to personally go with a all-season tire. Now, on a Model Y, you can actually rock an all-terrain. An all-terrain is going to be superior to an all-season tire in the sense that it's got a better tread on it, and you're going to be able to dig into the snow and shed that snow easier to continue to dig in every revolution, if that makes sense. Now, when we're talking about the Model Y in general, even on this performance model, you can get an all-season on the 21-inch Ubertine wheels. Now, if you're looking for a tire size and you can't find it, or if you're looking for a tire size for your Model Y performance to actually get a little bit better protection on your wheels, go ahead and check the video out on the top where I talk about different tire sizes for your Model Y in the case that you can't find the one that you need from the factory spec, or if you're just looking for something to give you a little bit more comfort and a little bit more rim protection for your actual wheel itself. Okay, so when we talk about the actual tires, the Y is great because even on the 21s, as I said, you can get all-season tires, which is terrific. That's what I highly recommend, and I personally like to go with the, I believe it's the, what is it here? I think they're the Michelin Pilot All-Season 4S is, I think, what they are. That's the all-wheel drive or the four-wheel drive variant. That's a really good tire you can choose for the Y because it has very minimal decrease on your range, and it has very minimal decrease on like your actual performance, so the speed of the vehicle, and they're a very quiet tire. So me personally, I rock the Michelin Pilot Sport All-Season 4s, something like that, and it's a great tire for your performance Model Y or just the Y that you've got in general. Okay, so now let's talk about the second category, which is going to be traction control. Traction control essentially is taking advantage of the traction we have in those tires we were talking about. And when we start to have slip in any of the 4 tires, the traction control in microseconds is supposed to recognize that slip and divert power to a tire or a wheel that has more traction to it. So this is going to happen even when you don't have inclement weather, being that the Teslas have so much torque on their performance models and on their plaid models. They've really had to dial this in the sense that, let's say it's completely dry out, but you're getting some slip from gravel, or maybe there's a little bit of moisture, maybe it's a little cooler outside. They've really had to make sure that with the amount of torque they're putting out in these vehicles, that you can actually still continue to go fast and straight and not just veer off one way or the other into the guardrail. So the Tesla, it's cold out here, the Tesla traction control system is very, very good, and I would say it's probably, at this point, the best in the industry. And make no mistake, the traction control systems across the board are not all equal. Subaru makes a good one, Toyota makes a good one. BMW makes a good one, Audi makes a good one, but I would say that the Tesla traction control system is probably among the best in the entire industry. Now, another good aspect of a snow vehicle is going to be the balance of that vehicle. If we have too much weight in the rear, that can propel us forward when we're trying to slow down. And if we have too much weight in the front, we can have a swing weight that is hard to control when we're going around corners in slick conditions. So the better the vehicle is balanced in terms of weight, the better it's going to perform. So when we're talking about the Teslas here, they have the battery pack that is pretty evenly dispersed in weight across the base of the floor. And then we have, this is a dual motor vehicle. We have a motor in the rear and we have a motor in the front, and so the weight is balanced really nicely, which just helps the car to have a little bit less swing weight, to be able to slow down at a more even pace without being pushed forward by the weight. And it makes it for a very even, balanced ride, and it makes it so that the traction can hold a little bit better and the traction control system isn't as confused by this difference in weight. Okay, again, a quick reminder, if you haven't yet and you like the video, please go ahead and give me a like, give me a sub. It's super cold out here. Okay, so now we're going to talk about clearance. And if anybody's ever lived in a snowy state, you know that clearance is quite important. Now, you may be thinking to yourself, I don't care about clearance, I live on a maintained road. And maybe you do, but the problem is, like a state like this in Colorado, there's a lot of neighborhoods and side streets and dirt roads that don't get maintained by the county or the city or whatever. So what happens is we get all this snow, and then a day or two, like probably in 2 days, it's going to be snowy again, or sunny again. And so what's going to happen is the sun is going to start to melt that snow on that unmaintained road, and then at nighttime when the sun goes down, it gets really cold again, and it's going to freeze over that icy kind of melted snow that's now kind of been melted by the sun. And so when that happens, if you're driving out late at night or early in the morning, if your clearance isn't high enough, if you hit that icy snow, you can really cause some serious damage to your bumper. So that's why I like to talk about clearance when we're talking about snow or inclement weather in general. And on the Model Y, it's okay. When we're talking about clearance on an SUV, 8.5 inches is kind of the standard for what you want on an SUV. The Model Y has a 6.6 inch clearance, and so it's an okay height. I would say it's maybe an inch or two higher than like your standard passenger vehicle, like a car. But in terms of like a crossover, it's okay clearance, and I haven't really run into too many situations to where the clearance has been a problem. All right, in the vehicle now, and it's a little bit warmer here. So let's talk about range. Now, range is just going to be affected whether it's snowy or not. If it's cold, the range will be affected by the cool temperatures. And I'm talking less than 32 degrees, below freezing, it is definitely going to make a difference. Now, it's not anything huge. In my experience, it's been about a 10% difference in the degradation of range when it gets cold out. And now that's going to be really kind of a case-by-case basis, because if you've got a lot of people in the car and you've got all seat heaters going and your heat is cranked up to like 80 the entire time you're driving, you might see a degradation of 15 to 20% if you've got the heat really cranked up. And that is what really makes a big difference, is the heat that you're producing in the car, because electric heat takes a lot of power. And not only that, but when the battery gets cold itself, your actual battery that fuels the car, that is going to see a degradation in power, or a degradation in output the same. Now, the good thing is with the Model Y is they have heat pumps in them to try to prevent any sort of degradation of the battery due to it being cold outside. So that is a good plus on that side. Okay, and now let's talk about visibility. The visibility of the car, when I'm talking about that, I mean how good is the heat inside of the car. If the heat isn't that good and we've got all the windows fogging up, or the heat isn't that good and we've got the windshield fogging up, particularly when it's really cold like it is today, 0 degrees, you can really have a lot of problems with ice sticking to the windshield, snow sticking to the windshield, and the defroster is a really big component of making sure that your visibility is good when you're in the snow or just really cold temperature in general. I've been in situations in cars where the defroster or the front heat on the windshield isn't that great, and you've got like this tunnel that you're looking through while you're driving the car. And I'm happy to say, even when it's really cold like this, in the Tesla Model Y, the defroster is really, really good. And that means your visibility is going to be good for your windshield, and that is really, really nice. And in my opinion, that's like a third of the battle. Okay, guys, so that's pretty much it. Now, again, I live in Colorado. I've had a lot of experience driving in the snow, and I'm here to say the Tesla Model Y, whether you've got a long-range dual motor or the performance model, something with all-wheel drive, is going to be very good in the snow. The selection of wheel and tires that you can get for these things is really, really nice, and it doesn't prohibit you from getting all seasons while still maintaining your range and your performance of your car. The traction control or the stability control of the car is really, really good and super fast, and I would say it's among the best in the industry. The balance is really good on the vehicle, being that it's a electric vehicle and the battery is along the floorboards, and then we've got a front motor and a rear motor. The balance is really, really nice on the car. The clearance on the car is okay, running at 6.6 inches. That is okay. It's about 2 inches lower than what you would have as the standard in a traditional SUV, so I would mark that as just being okay. It hasn't been a significant problem for me to this point. And then when we talk about the range, only suffering about 10 to maybe 15%-ish, depending on how much heat you're running, really isn't too bad of a degradation in your range that you're going to see on these electric vehicles, particularly the Model Ys with their heat pumps that they have. And then when we talk about the visibility, the ability to be able to heat up the windshield so that we're not getting all fogged up and ice is getting on the windshield is really good, and so visibility is good. And so all in all, I would say that the Tesla Model Y with the dual motor variant, whether that's the long range or the performance, is a very good option for a snow car, and I don't think that it's going to suit you wrong in any way, and I would highly recommend it. So if you liked the video, please go ahead and give me a like, give me a sub, and we'll see you in the next one.